Hello, I'm Jay, owner of Volunteer Audio in Oliver Springs, Tennessee. In today's video, we're going to show you how to add latch lights from Custom Dynamics to your 2023 and newer Harley Davidson. This is the fourth video in a series where we're upgrading all the rear lighting on our 2024 Harley Davidson Roadglide. So watch the video. I think you'll be amazed at how much brighter it is when we get these lights on. All right, so visibility is so important. Being seen can be the difference between making it home at the end of the day or ending up in the hospital or even worse. So on our Roadglide, we're trying to do everything we can to upgrade the lighting and make sure that we're more visible when we're out riding. So far, we've already took Custom Dynamics license plate holder and we've replaced our license plate just to make it look better. But at the same time, we also did our rear lights here. They call these filler lights. And we also did our bag lights to give more rear visibility. Now we're going to add some side visibility by taking that factory reflector out and putting one that actually lights up. Not only does it light up, it also changes to an amber turn signal if we're turning. So no matter what, from the side, we're going to be seen a lot better. So let's get to the table. We'll go over what comes in the kit, and then we'll go to the bike and show you how to install it. All right, in our last video, we showed you how to install the bag lights, the ones that go on the very back of that saddlebag. And when we did it, we used this part from Custom Dynamics. This part number is 212-01096, and all this is an extension harness we showed you in the video. It plugged in under the seat, just like the latch lights are designed to do, but it comes out and gives us 3 ports for all of our lighting. Made our install much easier. It's going to make this one a lot easier as well without stacking multiple adapters under the seat. So check out that video because there are going to be some parts in it that you need to see before you move on to this one. But let's open up our latch lights from Custom Dynamics and see what comes in our kit. All right, so in here, we're gonna have a hardware pack. Inside of here, we're gonna have the grommets to run the wiring out of the bag, some zip ties, some zip tie bases, along with a couple pieces of foam to protect the wire when we open and close the lid. We'll go over how to install that later. And last but not least, there's a little clear template in here to show you where to drill your hole to run the wire through this latch. We're also gonna end up with 2 of these self-stick. They're just gonna go on with 2-way tape. These reflectors that are now going to be lit up. And in this case, we have the ones that are going to do an amber turn signal. All of this is pretty easy to install. We'll go over that later. We're also going to end up inside this bag are the ends to these plugs because we're going to be drilling a hole through the bag. We want to do that as small as possible. So we reinstall our plugs at the end. We'll go over that. We also have this under seat adapter. So if you're not doing any other lights and you're just doing these, plug this in under the seat at a factory connector, and it's going to give you a port to run out to each side. Again, we've already got this same adapter in there from when we did the bag lights on the back of the bag, and now we're just using an extension to give us 3 ports out for that. It also comes with a couple extensions to run from under the seat out to there if you need more length. All right, so let's get our bike, get the latch took apart, move back to the table and show you how to install these. All right, so let's quickly go over the tools you're going to need to complete this process. We're going to need a T15 Torx bit on a ratchet. We're using a Milwaukee battery ratchet just to make our life a little easier, but you do need a T15 and some sort of ratchet for it. We're also going to need a drill. We're going to need a 1/4 inch, actually, I'm sorry, 5/16 drill bit, along with a couple unibits to be able to drill through the bag and install our grommet. The smaller bit is used to drill the hole to get the wire through the latch. These larger ones are going to be for a 9/16 hole that's needed in the back side of the bag for the grommet to run the wire out. We're also going to be using, in this case, just a Phillips screwdriver. After we drill this hole, we're going to push through and take that latch reflector off. We'll show you that in the video as well. So a drill, a ratchet, 5/16 and 9/16 holes will be drilled, and we're going to need a T15 Torx socket. So now we'll move to the bike and get that latch cover taken off. All right, so we're not going to take the bag off at this step. We'll do that a little later, but for now, I just want you to open up your lid and get access to the back of this latch cover. You're going to see there are 3 silver screws that are going to be T15 that we're just going to use our ratchet. We're going to remove those 3 screws. All right, so once you take those out, your lid is going to be slightly loose from that, but just let it hang here. We'll be putting the screws back in shortly. Won't be a big deal. But now we've got our cover. Let's go over here to the bench, and I can show you a little bit more in detail on how we're going to drill and modify this to hold our new light. All right, so now that we have our latch cover off. We're going to flip it upside down, and we're going to take the template, just a little clear template that came from Custom Dynamics. We're going to position it where it fits in here evenly. We're just going to keep the same space around the top and the bottom all the way around, and we're going to mark this hole because we're going to be drilling a small hole. This is where our wire is going to come out. But the first step is going to be drilling the hole so that we have access to get rid of that reflector without chipping or damaging the paint on the other side. So I've marked my hole on this black. It's a little hard to see, so I used a blue marker. But I'm just going to drill right in the center of that mark. And I'm not going to drill into the reflector. I'm trying to drill just through this outside layer. You'll feel when it changes into the other part. There it was. So at that point, I have drilled through, and I'm looking at the back side of the reflector. This is where we're going to use some sort of a tool. I'm just going to use a small Phillips screwdriver at this point. And what we're going to be doing is we're pushing this reflector out that's just held in factory with some two-way adhesive tape. So I'll just take and start pushing on that with some pressure, trying to get that tape to separate. Now that tape is really strong, but if you'll push with even pressure, it will let go, and it will do it kind of evenly. So here we are, I've got it out enough that now I'm just going to evenly pull out on the reflector. And you don't want to pull hard all at once because it's more so about even pressure over time. It allows it to break and come loose without actually breaking that reflector. All right, so that gets our reflector off. You see our hole we have through here. Now we've got to clean this tape off. I'll tell you, you can do this a couple different ways. I don't really normally like using chemicals on it because we don't want to damage the paint in any way. There are some Goo Gons and other things that you can use that do not damage the paint. But what I normally do is I take my finger and I will start rolling on this. Now I've got a pretty tough finger, but I'll start rolling, and you'll see that it's easier to roll this tape up than it is to try to just peel it off. All right, I'll spend a few minutes rolling this tape off of here, and we'll come back here in a second when I've got it clean. So after some time of rubbing and getting the majority of the glue off, I've now got some isopropyl alcohol, and I'm just getting that residue kind of in the bottom cleaned off to make sure we have a good place for these to stick. This can take some time. It wears quite a bit off the end of your fingers, and if you got a better way, comment below. Let me know how it is that you do it that makes this easier. Share those tips if you have any. But we're almost done, about ready to test fit this and see if we need to drill this hole out any larger or anywhere else. I think that's plenty good enough now. All right, so now that we have it cleaned, we want to take the one that's for this side. We want to take our wiring and pull through, and I've not pulled off the self-stick tape yet. I have not pulled the backing off because I want to see how it fits and how it sets in this place. And what I noticed on the other ones that I've done is the hole that they have is great to line up where the wire goes out, but on the back side of the actual light, there's a little bit of a hump where they glue this wiring in. And if you don't drill out where that hump is, it's not going to sit perfectly flat. So I'm going to do a little bit more drilling on the back side. And it's really just going to be a little bit more into this. There's like a mold mark with a date code. And if you'll drill into that area, it'll open up enough room that this will clear and sit down much better. So I'm going to step up to the next size larger bit. I'm going to go from this 5/16 up to, I think it's at 3/8. It's the next size. Let's see what we have here. And I'm going to go to a 3/8 and drill that out a little larger. Now, anytime you're drilling, just be careful that you keep your bit straight because we don't want to go at an angle and chip the paint anywhere on the outside. So I'm going to drill in here and make that a little larger, but I'm also going to come down and just kind of take out that little date code area, making more room for it to set flush. Just like that, just elongate that hole. It's going to give more room, and we want this to sit. We only have one chance to set this right. Well, we've got to peel all that tape off again and try to retape it. All right, so again, I'm going to test fit it again before I move on with peeling the backing off. Definitely fits much better. And you can look from the backside through the hole and see that you've cleared that area. Looks like I have a little bit of tape that's overlapping that. I'm going to trim that with a razor blade, then I'll peel it and I'll stick it in. Seems to fit flat now. Everything looks good. So I'll just pull this out enough to peel off that backing. I'm gonna peel that red sticker off. And we'll drop that back in, line it up, making sure that we have the same gap all the way around as we set it in place. All right. Just that easy, it's stuck in. That's pretty permanent. I'm gonna clean this because I've got a little bit of goo on it as I was using my isopropyl alcohol. We'll get it cleaned and then we'll move back to the bike and stick it on. All right, so we've got our latch, our latch cover, we're back at the bike. I want you to go ahead and take your wire underneath your lid and just go ahead and close your lid because we're gonna wanna line up these 3 holes into those exact 3 holes on the outer portion of our lid. Now we're gonna hold that there while we open our lid back up and get access to put these screws in. Now this is gonna be a little tricky because we have to push our lid around now to where those holes line up with our bracket. I'm gonna make it look a little easier than it probably is because I tend to do that. But I'm gonna try to start the first one by hand and then use my ratchet to get it on in. Once you have that first one kind of started, move on to the other side and do the same thing with the front one. The middle one will definitely line up if you get both ends started. All right, so now we have our latch screwed back on. And you're gonna see that inside of your kit from Custom Dynamics, you got a couple of these little foam pieces. And the directions actually show a picture of an older style bag. So it's a little different on where it goes or what it looks like. But I'm gonna go right inside of this little cover here and I'm gonna stick it right here. And the point of this is our wire is gonna go over here and get secured into the bag. That way when we close our lid, we're not pinching that wire. That foam's keeping us from pinching that edge of that wire over and over, and it's just gonna make it last a lot longer. Another great thing about Custom Dynamics, these lights are lifetime warranted. If you have any problems with their functionality or even their look, something happens to them, they're gonna take care of that for the life of you owning them. So next, I'm gonna prepare just a little bit of isopropyl alcohol to clean the inside of the bag so we can stick some of our zip tie bases as we route this wire around on the inside. You want to put one right here under that foam pad to secure it so it stays where it needs to be. And in this case, we have lid mounted speakers, so I'm going to come around the front and follow that wiring. They give you enough lead that you can go to the back and around and out, or you can go to the front either way. In this case, if you've already got wiring ran in the bike, go that direction and follow with it so you don't have it going 2 different ways. Always want to secure the wire with the lid fully open. That way we're not running the risk of tightening it in a position that the lid won't open all the way and pulls on that wire. Again, at this point, I'm just going to follow the wiring that I already have in the bag, zip tying to it. This is really at your discretion as to how many little zip tie bases you put in or where you put them. They're going to give you 4 per side. Already got quite a few in this bag for these speaker wires. Always like at the end to flush cut my zip ties. By doing so, you don't run the risk of cutting your hand as you reach in and out of your bag from a non-flush cut. Once I get this all the way around to where we're going to drill our hole, we'll go ahead and take the bag off. We'll take it over to the table and we'll continue on showing you the next steps. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and take the bag loose. Any wiring you already have, whether it be speakers or lights, make sure as you lean your bag out that you unplug those. We definitely don't want to get caught up, drop a bag, pull out a wire, mess something up. So I'm going to lean it out. In this case, I already have speaker wiring and already have those rear bag lights. Now I'll show you in an upcoming video, we're gonna go over these lights on 2 different bikes, showing you all the options for the rear of your bike. And I'll show you there is another way to run this wire into the bag and up to the front. It requires a couple more holes to be drilled, but Custom Dynamics shows to do it this way. Let's go to the table, show how we're gonna get this grommet in place. Now you wanna make sure you have somewhere soft that's not gonna damage your paint as you set this somewhere to work on it. I'll actually spin it around the other way so we're at the front so you can see what we're doing. All right, so I already have a grommet here from a speaker wire coming out. And since I'm following that wiring, I'm gonna come around in here and I'm gonna add a 9/16 hole, add this secondary grommet for that wire to come out. On my other bike, I did not have the speaker wires in the same location. So I ran both this wire and the other wire inside the bag and came out a single grommet. But I'm gonna show you how to do this based on the way that Custom Dynamics supplies you in the directions. And we're gonna drill that hole. So you always want to be aware of where your latch is and where the inside retainer is going to be. And you don't want to be too close to where you can't spin that or that you get in the way of the bag latching and shutting. So in this case, we're going to come a little lower. It's not going to be a problem. It's not going to interfere. Started with a slightly larger bit, and I want to make that a little bigger as I go around because my next part, my unibit, does better if I start that hole first. So I'm using 3 bits just so I can get to my step bit that I want to use. It doesn't have an end on it. But the second step on this bit is the 9/16. All right, so there's my 9/16 hole. I'll go ahead and vacuum the debris here. All right, so now that I have my 9/16 hole, I'll put my grommet that's included with the lights into this hole. You want to use something like a small screwdriver. In this case, I'm using a non-marring tool just to press in, get that grommet in place without scratching the paint around it. All right, so our grommet's installed. Now we'll route our wiring out that hole. I'll push each one of these wires through one at a time, just being careful that I don't bend or mess up the end of each one of the wires. That little metal pins there. So get them all out, I'll feed the whole wire through, just like so. All right, so these are side specific and they're actually color coordinators, different colored wires for the left and right side. And you're gonna end up with these little ends that you need to install the wires on. But what I would tell you to do is find the extension that has the same colors as what your light does. In this case, we're working on the one with the purple wire on it. The other one I think will have a brown. So this is the one with the brown wire. I'm gonna set it aside. Here's my purple one. So what I wanna do is I wanna pretend that I've plugged this in and see where each one of the wires are. Now you can look at the directions, but I find it much easier this way because I have something visually to inspect to make sure I'm going in the right way. Now when you're looking at the end of this, you're gonna have a square connector and the wire is going to be at the bottom of the connector as you feed it in. And our first wire in this case is going to be purple. I'm going to push it in. I'm going to wait to hear it click. It clicked. I'm going to move on to my next one, which is going to be my black wire. Same thing. I'm going to position my wire at the bottom of the hole and the taller portion of the clip sticking upward so it'll clip in. It clipped as well. Got a little click to it. Make sure we put these in the right order. Listening for that click to make sure it went all the way in. All right, so now you'll see if I compare it to my other connector, we have the same color code and it would plug in. Now again, on this bike, we've already added these extensions, which gave us 3 ports. So now all I have to do is go right over to the bike and plug it in. I'm going to pull these wires together so that they plug in close to each other. It's going to make it a little simple on me to keep those together and to keep a little less wiring hanging down here. So another zip tie or 2 and we'll be ready to go on the bike. All right, so I'm just going to set my bag back down here and get to where I can get to my plugs. In this case, I've got 3 from those extensions that were previously installed. Plugging those in, making sure that the little O-rings that go around your plugs are still intact and they don't get pinched, so that we keep a watertight connection. You see, sometimes that O-ring wants to come up And you can undo it and slowly go back in. You'll see it goes in with your connector. Not forgetting to hook up my speaker wire as well. All right, the next thing you want to watch is all this wiring as you go in. Make sure that none of it goes behind the mount where your front threaded portion goes through. So go in a little bit, then inspect your wiring, making sure you don't have anything pinched. And then tighten it up. Just that easy. We've got our wiring routed outside of our bag, plugged in, ready to go. And any future service work, it's going to be simple to remove the bag if we need to get to our tire, to get to the brakes, the belt, whatever it is. I'll move over, I'll get the other side done. We'll be back in a minute and show you all these lights in action. All right, so I finished the other side, as you see, and we've got it lit up, and I think it looks great. Check out how much more side visibility we have. And also, let's check out those brakes. Lights up. We're going to be seeing so much better. The number one place that you're risking your life is in an intersection, because people behind you have a tendency to want to rear end people sitting on motorcycles. We're just such a small target. And with this additional lighting, you're going to be seen from behind, but we're also going to be seen from the side and hopefully stop from getting things like T-boned. We definitely don't want to go through that. We don't want to go through the time in the hospital or even possibly losing our life. It's such an awesome thing to go out and ride on your bike. We just want to do it as safe as we can. And on top of that, I think they look really good. So not only is it safer, it really helps the look of the bike overall. Next, we'll be doing a video. I'll be going over the magic strobe. We're going to add that strobe effect to the rear lights. It's a very easy thing to do. Watch that in our next video. And if you haven't seen the video on the installation of the license plate or the bag lights or these filler lights we did for our tail lights, all of those are available at the link above. We've got a full playlist of each one of these step by step. All of these parts are available at volunteeraudio.com. Thank you so much for watching. Please support us and purchase there. We're going to give you the lowest allowed price, free shipping, and there's no sales tax if you live outside of Tennessee. On top of that, we have step-by-step videos and lifetime tech support to help you through your install if you have any questions. All right, so comment below. Let me know what you think about the overall build. Yes, there's a lot of opinions. Let's try to be nice. If you don't like it, you don't have to say you don't like it, but I understand there's going to be some different ideas and thoughts on the process. But overall, I think doing all of this together gives you a really good view out the back. And let me know what you think about the videos. Do you want to see more? Is there something else you want to see us show on the bike? I've got a couple plans, but we may alter some of those depending on what you say. Like this video, it's free to do so. Thank you so much for doing that. And it moves us up in search results on YouTube, helps other people find our videos when you do that. So just click that little like button. If you want to share it, that's great too. Make sure you subscribe to Volunteer Audio on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook, and you'll be some of the first to learn about new products that come out for your bike. As we show you the product, we show you how to install it, we show you what it's like in use, so you make the right decision the first time before you spend your hard-earned money. If you have questions, you want us to put together a package for your bike, if you need help coming up with any of the things that we have at volunteeraudio.com, you can also call us at 1-844-30-AUDIO. Our knowledgeable sales and tech staff would love to talk to you about your bike, your build, your budget, and put together the perfect package for you. And don't forget, at Volunteer Audio, we build the best audio packages, all plug and play for your bike as well. So you're going to want to check those out. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, God bless.